Some people say a man is made out of mud. A poor man's made out of muscle and blood, muscle and blood and skin and bone. A mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load 16 times. Why do you get another day older and deeper in bed? St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born one morning when the sun didn't shine. I picked up my shovel and I went to the mine. I loaded 16 tons, number 9 coal, but the store boss said, well, bless my soul, you load 16 tons. Why do you get another day older and deeper in debt? St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born one morning in the drizzling rain, fighting in trouble on my middle lane. I was raised in a cane, but an old mama line. I got me no high-toed woman, make me walk the line. You load 16 times. Why do you get another day older and deeper in debt? St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. If you see me coming, better step aside. A lot of men didn't, and a lot of men died. I have one fist of iron and the other of steel. If the right one don't get you, then the left one will. You load 16 times. Why do you get another day older and deeper in debt? St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Some people say man is made out of mud. Poor man is made out of muscle and blood, muscle and blood, skin and bone. A mind that's weak and a heart that's strong. Load 16 times. Why do you get another day older and deeper in debt? St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. yesterday. All my troubles seem so far away. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used to be. There's a shadow hanging over me. Oh, yesterday came suddenly. Why she had to go, I don't know. She wouldn't say. I said something wrong. Now I long for yesterday. Yesterday, love was such an easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe yesterday. Why she had to go, I don't know. She wouldn't say. I said something wrong. Now I long for yesterday. Yesterday, love was such an easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday. I give you all I can, no more. The poor the offering be. My heart delivers all the store that I can do to thee. A lute whose gentle sound reveals the soul of love full well. And better for a heart that feels much more than lute can tell. Though love and song may fail alas to keep life's clouds away, at least it will make the night pass so good and if they stay. And even if care and moments flings a discord on life's happy strand, all alone but gently touch the strings, will be sweet again. All alone but gently touch the strings, will all be sweet again. Greetings, friends. How you doing? How you doing? Three quiet, quick, short numbers there, and yeah, glad to see you. Glad to see you. I doubt if there's many here listening, but you know, that's as it is. I know there's a few other hangouts on at the minute, but I'll just continue on anyway, as I normally do. Opening song, 16 Tons by Tennessee Ernie. Let me just go through the lyrics. I've been singing that for years and years, never realized 16, of course, 16 tons, 16 is 8, HH, hidden hand. And I guess in one sense, this is the story of our lives, right? So let me go through the lyrics. Some people say man is made out of mud, and poor man is made out of muscle and blood, and skin and bones, a mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me? St. Peter, of course, is the stone, the rock. The stone is the S tone. Of course, Peter here, well, the creator given name. So what can you do? I said, Peter, don't you call me because I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Just a comment there. The word store also pops up in my heart and lute, so I'll mention that a bit later on and move on. I was born one morning when the sun didn't shine. I picked up my shovel and I walked to the mine. I loaded 16 tons of number 9 coal, and the store boss said, well, bless my soul, you load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me because I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born one morning in the drizzling rain. Fighting and trouble are my middle name. I was raised in the cane, break by an old mama line. Can't no high-toned woman make me walk the line. I load 16 tons, and what do I get? Another day older and deeper in debt. Saying, Peter, don't you call me, because I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. What is it? Yeah, let me just go through the other verse that I added. Or not that I added, it's part of the song. Sorry now. I think there's rats at the back, so the dog is just after reacting to that. But that's okay. You don't mind rats. Everything has to make a living, right? I was born one morning, one fist of iron and the other of steel. What's the start of that? I was born one morning. Oh, fuck it. Forget about it. Let me just go to the chorus because I didn't read that off. I was born. One fist of iron and the other of steel. If the right one don't get you, then the left one will. You load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me because I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Yeah, very interesting song. I first heard it from Johnny Cash. So as with most of Johnny Cash, the songs, they're like written by someone else. And when we analyze, or when we have eyes to see and ears to hear the lyrics, we can sort of interpret them in a different way. Every new day is new, and what you understood completely yesterday, you may not be at the same sort of level of understanding today. You know, there's clues everywhere for us, and it's only when we, I suppose, pick up a piece, we can put the differing pieces together and come out with a different picture altogether. So, right, Brian, did you get that? Did you get it? No. Useless. I mean, he's good at sniffing lampposts. He's good at eating grass. But when it comes to catching vermin, not too good, but he's all right. We'll leave him off of that. Yeah, the second song yesterday, I sang it before as well. I'm not even sure if I opened up a song hangout on my old channel, PJ channel, with 16 tons, but it doesn't matter anyway. Yesterday, excellent song. I've talked about this so many times. It's not the story about one individual's fallen love or lost love. It's the story about all of us, you know, all of our yesterdays, and fundamentally it goes back to us being divided from ourselves, so losing our other half, if you will. If you're male and it's the female half, and vice versa, if you're female, it's the male half. So let me just go through the lyrics. Yesterday, all my troubles seemed so far away. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used to be. Very interesting, right? There's a shadow hanging over me. Oh, yesterday came suddenly. Why she went away? Why she had to go? I don't know. She wouldn't say. I said something wrong. Now I long for yesterday. Yesterday, love was such an easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, yesterday. Oh, I believe in yesterday. And again, why she went away. Sorry, I'm just going from memory here. I'm not reading these. Why she had to go? Yes, why she had to go? I don't know. She wouldn't say. I said, sorry, beg your pardon. I said something wrong. Now I long for yesterday. Then back to the first verse again. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Yeah, very interesting song. And of course, Paul, the dodo, sang that on his own with his acoustic guitar. I think very pertinent as well. The dodo represents a sort of a divided state we're in, and a departure from our previous unified state. So yeah, when we look at that song and so many other songs as well, we can think in terms of the collective as opposed to the individual. Yeah, my heart and lute, usual as well. My earth and star. I give thee all, I can no more, though poor the offering be. My heart and lute is all the store, right? So we talked about, I owe my soul to the company store. And ST, store is ST or E. Now, what does ST mean to you is the next question. In code dodo, S has the value of 2 and T has the value of 3. Right, so we have 2, 3, 2/3. And I've spoken about this as well. Do I have the link here? I'm going to post that link in chat. It's for posterity here. I posted it before. Don't tell me I lost it now, did I? Maybe I did. Hang on, let me just. I lost it off the top shelf here. Pretty much what it was a near-death experience account by somebody, and very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I take it as genuine, and even though the narrator was sort of struggling for words, words are inadequate. Yeah, the overarching message was that we are in this divided state, but there is a ratio of good to bad, 2/3 to 1/3. So when we think of the word store, ST, there we have the 2/3, or E. And I pointed out that the E before, if you divide the 8 and 2, right, because we are ultimately infinite, we're outside of time in our true state. When you divide the 8 and 2, then the center, you have a 3 and a 3. So we have the two opposing E's, the two opposing sides to us. And it's about bringing these two sides together. So store, yeah, represents just that. ST or E, the 2/3 or the half, if you will. And hang on, where was I? My heart and lute are all the store that I can give to thee. A lute whose gentle song reveals the soul of love full well, and better for a heart that feels much more than lute can tell. So back to the first song, 16 tons, I owe my soul to the company store. You can see a sort of equation there in terms of the words used. And ultimately, all of these words and ideas behind the words are expressing the same truth or the same story, if you will. Story, right? So we can see it in that sense as well. Though love and song may fail alas to keep life's clouds away, at least 'twill make them brighter pass, or gill them if they stay. And even if care at moments flings a discord o'er life's happy strain, let love but gently touch the strings, 'twill all be sweet again. It's a very poignant sort of poem, and when I put the music to the poem, to the lyrics, one of the quickest songs I ever wrote. It's just as if the music came to me, right? So yeah, that's the 3 songs out of the way. Pretty quiet. It's pretty late here. It's like 2:53. I just said I'd start up a hangout. No reason really. Just do a bit of talking, present a few images, a few breakthroughs in the last day or so as well, which just serve to confirm what I've been thinking all along, so I can go through them. But yeah, welcome anyone who's listening, and don't expect it's too many. This is my new channel. Let me just fix the dog here. One second. Just take it easy. Yeah, so that's all. I'm not going to stay on for very long. Just go over a couple of things, and yeah, just see what comes up by way of conversation. Yeah, you should be like that. Yeah, what do you do? Like, what do you do? Because again, he sniffs bins, he sniffs lampposts, pisses against lampposts, eats grass. But when it comes to the hard graft, yeah. But anyway, we won't judge him on that. But yeah, yeah, good to see you. Yeah, this is my new channel. Well, my new channel, but my sort of secondary channel. I'm barred from posting on the original one, so I guess many people who are subscribed. I think it's 445 or 46 subscribers. So you know, I guess if you're interested, you'll have to find your way to this new channel, and yeah, I guess you'll make it here eventually. But if you don't, well, so be it. Stay there now. Leave the rats alone. Rats are just doing their thing, right? There's a rat in the kitchen. What am I going to do? Yeah, I know there's a few hangouts on. I just had a brief look. Antonio Superetz is on with, what's his name? Niels and Janice, I think. He's the guy who is the geocentrist. So he has a stationary Earth, a sphere Earth, but yeah, he takes away the movement. And I guess Antonio is fighting the cause for the flat Earth, flat and stationary Earth. So just different degrees. I'm not too interested in that anymore. I'm not too interested in any of these shows. We're just going over the same thing again and again, keeping you stuck in the quicksand, I guess. And yeah, the more time and effort you sort of spend, or the more energy you invest in these things, I think the more stuck you get. And it's very easy to get stuck in the same spot. But be aware of that. This is the individual's journey, and the truth is there for us. Go on. Who's that? There's something rattling outside. Let me just go out and see that. Okay. Horse is bolted. The horse is bolted. Let me just turn on the heat now. Forget about it. Go and sit down. Come on, go and sit down. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. Take your time off. Up here. Come on. Up. Come on. Sit down. Yeah, sorry about that. There's some rustling going on at the back. It's a small enough back, but there's plenty of green areas just to the back. So lots of wildlife scurrying around, especially the nocturnal ones who, well, yeah, they do wisely. I mean, they're a little oasis of green in the heart of, actually the heart of Limerick City, because Limerick City is pretty small. But yeah, they come alive at night. And Brandy has his ear cocked, you know. He always sort of arrives just that little bit late. Although I'm happy enough with that as well. Sort of shit green if he came in one day with a rat in his mouth or something, but I deal with it, like, you know. Yeah. So yeah, there's a few other debates going on at the minute, a few other channels. So yeah, feel free to do your own bidding. Yeah, let me just get rid of a few of these things here. Oh yeah, my head is cut off here as well. My view, how you doing? How you doing, man? ARISTARCHUS got mentioned on the non-sequitur show. Antonia's on now. Excellent. I noticed a few people are picking up on ARISTARCHUS, and I pointed out about Antonio's Superats. Superats backwards is star IBS, my view. So there we have ARISTARCHUS. So very little difference between the two. And well, to put it down as coincidence at this stage, not a chance, not a chance. So glad to hear that. I predict that more and more people now will become aware of ARISTARCHUS. And yeah, there's a pathway laid for us, and yeah, it's a game of clues, and when the time is right, when we're ready, we'll meet the clues head on. I think this is the way it's designed, this is the way it's set up, and I have declared ARISTARCHUS as the ultimate solution revealed, and I stick to that. It's everything, it really is. Getting to the bottom or the heart of everything, that's a different matter. Wrapping our brains and our hearts around it, yeah, that's a different story. Let each individual meet that as they will. But yeah, thanks for that. My view, it's very interesting to hear that. I wonder, as I mentioned on the last hangout, how far the individual can come in terms of their understanding without having done the groundwork. So that'd be interesting to hear. But yeah, I'm not too bothered about it. I'm not too bothered about it. ARISTARCHUS is everything. It's the sun, it's the moon, it's the stars, it's the barrier, it's the ether, it's the earth beneath our feet. It's it can be seen expressing in the clouds, in the waters, in the sands. That's the external story, as without, so within, continues all the way into the very heart of our matter, our matters. And there's clues for us everywhere. Superats himself is a clue. Even though I have bumped heads with Antonio Superats on many occasions. It seems to me I've always come out the worst of it, but not necessarily so as well. I was interacting with another guy today called Dark Star, and it occurred to me just how close that also was to ARISTARCHUS. So yeah, everything that I'm coming across just serves to confirm to me that there are players in the know playing this game. Who are they? We never get to know, faceless, nameless, but that they are in the know, I think at this stage is beyond doubt, to my own reckoning anyway. So yeah, that's good to hear my view. ARISTARCHUS, perfect anagram of Christ's aura. And when we sort of rethink, when we shake ourselves free of any shackles, I guess, we can look at everything in new terms. As I was walking down the road tonight, not raging, I didn't have my camera, but it would have been good to have a camera. because they're before me, right before my eyes, a perfect illustration of Aristarchus expressing in the clouds in the form of the serpent tongue, you know, the NASA serpent tongue. Yeah, once you climb a wall and see through the scare tactics, then we can see that everything presented to us has a basis in reality. However you want to describe or accept or understand reality. But yeah, everything has a tangible correlation, if you will. And yeah, now that the solution is revealed, as I say, I think those in the know will be freer to present the clues more freely. So that was mentioned. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I've been talking to, no, I haven't been talking to recently. I haven't been going to Discord, Jeremy's channel, but I did go there recently where you have a big mountain of ballers up against any flat earther who comes in, and they're to the man, antagonistic and divisive and ridiculing. And I think I understand what's going on now. Needs must they play this part to encourage the individual or to strengthen the individual along their own path. You know, so once we can see through the acting parts that are being played, we can understand there's a different game here, and I guess we can understand our own role within that game. So yeah, excellent. I'm absolutely certain that within a relatively short amount of time, everyone will have heard of Aristarchus, every flat earther especially, and the fact that every flat earther hasn't heard of Aristarchus already in the form of Aristarchus of Samos, who's said to be the first man to put the sun at the center and have a spherical earth and spherical planets revolving around, is telling in itself. So yeah, a game of clues, and when you're ready to meet the clue, then, well, the clue will meet you, and you'll see, well, what it's pointing to. Right? So when we understand that history is bunk, all of these characters presented to us, especially from ancient history, are fabricated, are non-existent. Yeah, we look to another Aristarchus then, and that's the Aristarchus, the most mysterious crater on the moon, which is said to be the most mysterious object in our system. Yeah, I sort of feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, which is not good. I could say so much about so many different things, but now that I've reached a sort of pinnacle, the Matterhorn, if you will, just got to keep beating this drum. But I don't have anything like scripted, and that's why I'm coming across so, I guess, sloppily and carelessly, but that's fine by me. What I'm going to do is just share my screen and point out what I found yesterday, which is, okay, hopefully this comes through, okay. Definitely don't want to risk getting a copyright strike here, but I was looking at, here we go, Flat Earth Polaris Extreme Close-Up. Now here we go, let me just bring that up to top quality if I can manage. Will I be able to manage 1080? I think so. Let me just, so let's just zoom in. So here's this camera, Canon EOS 100D. How many other stars do you see in this format or in this visual? Very, very, very few. If you look up any, hang on, I don't want to risk a copyright strike here, but if you look up, so actually, that's fine. Look, let me just go. So he zooms in on this, and here we go. Every other star you see through any lens or through any magnification it's always flickering. You can never get a sort of a grasp on it. There doesn't seem to be any solidity to it. It seems to support the idea that the stars are just lights in the sky. But here we have Polaris, the star that every other luminary seems to revolve around from a flat Earth point of view on a nightly or daily basis. And this is indeed the case. But here, look at the capture we have here. Let me just, until he zooms in a little bit more. Perfect. Look at that. Let me just go full screen for a second. Look at this. Look at this, yeah. No other star that I've seen has had this sort of consistency to it, has this sort of solidity to it. And as I say again, this is for good reason. That's Polaris. So let me just tell you, actually I haven't even been to the end of the video, which I will go through it myself actually. But what I did, recognize the shape straight away. I recognized the shape straight away, so let me stop sharing and go to, oh gosh, hang on. Before I share screen, I better bring up the picture itself. Here we go. Open with Paint. Okay, share screen. Application window, excellent, there we go. Yeah, so I recognize it straight away. On the left here, we have that extreme close-up of Polaris, and on the right here, we have a close-up of crater Aristarchus as seen from the moon. It is so close, it's uncanny. It really is, and it's uncanny for a reason, because yeah, we're looking at one and the same thing. Now, I've talked about Aristarchus being decapitated in the best way I can describe it, the decapitated tree of life. Broadcasting or emanating from the north center, which is under a separate sort of barrier than what we're under. We're under the secondary barrier, the barrier, the ball. And exactly how it transmits from inner barrier to the outer barrier, well, who knows, but the fact that it does transmit, I think, is becoming clearer and clearer. So when Aristarchus here, when we look at it on the moon, we're looking at a reflection of it, right? And every other crater on the moon is a reflected artifact of the one and the only crater creator, which is Aristarchus. When we look to the left here of Aristarchus, we have Herodotus, crater Herodotus. As I pointed out, Aristarchus is an anagram of Christ's aura. Now we all know the story of Herod and how upon the arrival of the news of the birth of Christ, Herod, King Herod, ordered the death of all newborns, or all children underneath the age of 1. Again, all storytelling, but behind the story is much clues for us. Before Aristarchus was called Aristarchus, we are told it was called Balthazar, or not Balthazar, Balthasaria. We remember Balthazar as one of the 3 wise men, the 3 magi from the Bible, who brought the gift of myrrh, M-Y-R-R-H, which is phonetically equivalent to myrrh, right? M-I-R-R-O-R. So, yeah, what this is telling me anyway is that Aristarchus expresses against a myrrh-like screen. And what we get to see then in terms of all of the luminaries are reflected artifacts of the one and the only crater or creator. These words are chosen specifically and carefully. And yeah, when Aristarchus emanating expresses and projects its direct reflection against the barrier is Polaris, right? And Polaris then, we can, as I say, travels in small, tight circles on a nightly basis. This is, I guess, the source, if you will, of the sun. So the sun is a direct reflection of Polaris, and the moon then is a direct reflection of the sun. So this is all that's happening, and all of the luminaries are associated intrinsically with one and only one source, which is Aristarchus. And yeah, again, these things are known and will be made known as well. But just this match here is pretty good. It's pretty good. There will be, I'll be able to make a better match. But the fact that Polaris is so different from pretty much every other star that I've ever seen in terms of its perceived solidity, yeah, this is telling. And as I say, yeah, this is the direct, Polaris is the direct reflection of Aristarchus. The clue being in the name Polaris, Polaristarchus. Not sure if you can see that yourself, but take it easy, Brand. Take it easy. Take it easy. Good, good. Yeah, but with a little bit of due consideration, I think it's not too hard to grasp, at least from my reckoning anyway. But then again, I have come at this from my own particular point of view, and at every step of the way, I have satisfied myself that what I am venturing into is, I guess, is reality. You know, fantastical as it all sounds, but it's not so fantastical after all. The fantastic or the fantasy, the fantastic story is the baller story. It's completely fantastical, and well, we swallowed that right hook, line, and sinker. I think based on becoming aware of that deception, we shouldn't write out or write off anything or any possibility suggested to us from pretty much any source. We can weigh up each new suggestion or each new possibility on its own merits. For instance, Will Smith being Barack Obama, crazy. That's crazy shit. That's absolute crazy batshit. Insane. But yeah, if we take the notion seriously and do our own investigation, you know, with the help of someone who suggested it, first of all, of course, we have to hear all new ideas from someplace. But yeah, fundamentally, we have to do our own investigations and satisfy ourselves. Yeah, we see that, you know, fact is far stranger than fiction. So yeah, it's the foolish man who writes off something just based on the incredulous sound of the notion. Yeah, so that was fantastic capture here. The beauty about all of this is I can, yeah, as I'm looking at this now, I'm seeing more points of intersection. But the beauty about all of this is, since I know that every creator, including Herodotus here, it doesn't look similar. They look like two distinct and separate things, but they're not. One is a reflected artifact of the other. And if you can sort of imagine, I don't know, it's like a Lego set. You can disassemble it. All the various and sundry component parts can be separated and expressed. This is what Herodotus is. It's just one of these component parts of Aristarchus, reflected and expressed in a neighboring fashion. So ultimately, everything is the same, back to the same source as it reflects and expresses around. Again, it's difficult to come up with the proper terminology. I'm sort of describing it in the best way I can. But almost a full moon out tonight, and now when I look at the moon, I know what it is like. I know what's going on there. As I say, just to give you that bigger picture, we have Aristarchus expressing from the center, hitting the barrier. So Aristarchus is the thing that's spinning or rotating. We know that Polaris rotates. We know that the sun rotates. We know that the moon rotates. So this is all because the primary source itself is rotating, and everything else is an expression of that rotation in a reflected form. Yeah, it is amazing, yeah, because it stands alone. And of course, Polaris is the northern star. It's with our Christmas tree. With our Christmas tree, think about what's happening here. We have a dismembered tree that we plant on an X, right? Generally, you might have a railway track running around it as well, giving you the hint of a circular motion that it undergoes. But at the top of the tree, then, yeah, we have a bright star, but the tree itself is artificially lit up, which makes reference, I guess, to a prior state where when the tree was connected in its natural sense, we had a natural illuminating force, I guess, projecting up through it. But yeah, that has been cut down. And as I say, that's the best way I can sort of describe Aristarchus at the heart of the North Center as the decapitated tree of life. So, yeah. I will be making a few short 5-minute videos. I'm just sort of getting the structure straight. How will I go about it? Because there's so much to say, but I want to sort of compress it down into as compact terms and compact ideas as possible. But yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I spoke the last time about this picture, which Sandra Culpex P900 sent me on the right. Just a picture of a weird shape to the sun, or a weird emanating pattern to the sun. And yeah, immediately this sprang to mind, which is Crater Copernicus on the moon. When you examine this closely, you'll find, actually, hang on, what did I do here? Sorry, let me just, what I did was, for the latest picture, I rotated this 90 degrees to the left, so a better sort of comparison. I was wondering why that was off there. Let me just bring that up again. There it is, yeah. Yeah, as compared to the last capture there, this, I just rotated it 90 degrees to the left, and here we can see a much better match. So this equates the sun to the moon. So in the previous capture, we've equated the sun to Polaris. And in many other places, I've equated the sun with Aristarchus as well, especially the sun captures above the atmosphere, where there is no distortion due to the water particulation in the atmosphere. Think about it in terms of a pencil. We can all relate to that, the pencil and the glass of water, and how the visuals come across to us, that little sort of distortion. when you do away with that distortion, you get to see the pencil in its true form, you know, in its true expression. And yeah, you know, think about 10 years ago, think about 15 years ago, it would have been possible for the average amateur to send up a balloon high altitude. Not a chance. High altitude balloon, no, the facility or the opportunity was never afforded us. So the timing is exquisite, and the future is more certain and fixed than the past. So everything is proceeding according to plan. I guess the individual's quest is just to decide what that plan may or may not be. That is an amazing match, and I'm very grateful to Sandra for sending that match. And she also says that on her own channel as well, she has many other similar pictures. So I look forward to going through those and coming up with, well, equal points of comparison and ultimately equal matches. The beauty about all of this is that every aspect, every perspective, every magnification is catered for on the moon. We're looking at the same thing in every possible guise, every possible angle, and as I say, every possible orientation, every possible perspective and magnification. And I guess it's wondrous in a sense. I will stress that all the things that I've been finding out, I know are known. There's nothing new under the sun, nothing new at all. And you know, we shouldn't be sort of intent on being mavericks or something, bringing some new information that has never existed before into reckoning. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. And even in terms of, I don't know, let's say the Gleason's map or the AE projection or the Mercator projection, these are all things that are given to us. So we're working with stuff that we have no hope of clarifying for ourselves. We have to take certain things on trust. So yeah, I don't think that is a untoward position to take. I'm very happy in that knowledge, you know, and that's how I looked upon all of this for, I guess, the longest of times now. We are in the greater game, and we are clearing our own pathway through, right? The signs are all there for us. The truth is hidden in plain sight. And yeah, now is the time. So let me just go through a couple of other things. This was a picture of there we go. Hopefully you can see my screen here. Anyone who's listening. Yeah, I think everything's coming through okay. So what I've done here, yeah, I'll just get a marker out here. What I've done here is posted a side-by-side of the moon, right, on the left, partial moon. And on the right here is from Wolfie, whatever he's a few digits after his name, I don't know what they are. But Wolfie is some Australian guy who has a hydrogen alpha camera to look at the sun. And these are the captions he's managed to get. Just put the two side by side. And it's pretty clear what we're dealing with. The bottom here, this is crater Tycho. This is crater Tycho on the sun. This is Copernicus. This is Copernicus. And this up here, this is a source, is Aristarchus. And this area here is Aristarchus. Now, as we are dealing with reflections and reflections of reflections. We have a sort of a size and a scope to sort of deal with, to incorporate it into our thinking. So you might ask, well, where's the rest of the moon when we look at the sun? Yeah, well, this is explained easily enough, as I say, by understanding that all of the different craters here are the same crater expressing. And because the moon is a reflection of a reflection, which is a reflection of the sun, we're getting to see more sort of not details as such, but more sort of reflected artifacts presenting themselves to us. So it's more naked, I guess, when we look at it in terms of the sun. We're getting a sort of a close-up of this. I'm not going to say a certain area, because it's hard to sort of put words to this, really, even though it's easy enough for me to understand it. It's all about sort of kaleidoscopic reflections and overlaying of artifacts. But these would be counted as, I guess, sunspots. This is what they'd call these artifacts as they stand out from the background. But yeah, they've completely misdescribed purposefully everything for the purposes of this game. So now that we've all the tools at our disposal, the time is ripe for us to be able to decode everything. And well, this is something that everyone can do for themselves, right? You can make this comparison yourself. But as I say, without the groundwork, how much progress are you going to be able to make? Well, it's your own business. That's your own business. That's all we can say. Look how bald the sun actually looks. It looks bald. But when we understand that everything just pretty much comes down to this area here, which is ARISTARCHUS, and nothing else. All there is the one crater or creator. Yeah, we can wrap our brains around then how it is manifesting in terms of the sun. And as I say, we can understand that the sun is itself a reflection of Polaris, and Polaris, as I just showed in the previous picture, is itself ARISTARCHUS. So, yeah, excellent stuff. Look at this. Look at how absolutely spherical this sun looks, and absolutely spherical the same moon looks as well. But these are illusions, and these are a solar filter doesn't really help us. No, what we need to do is to get to the heart of matters, to get to the reality of things. We need to get beyond the atmosphere. Remember, if the deception is in play, and all of the equipment we use to perceive is designed by those and cleared by those who are part of the deception. And he used the word likely deception as well. It's a puzzle. It's a game. So yeah, it's a disguise, right? And disguise was always meant to be lifted. Just like I've said it before about Will Smith, Barack Obama. Always meant to figure out that Will Smith was Barack Obama, or that Seth MacFarlane was Elon Musk, or Richard Dreyfuss was Bernie Madoff, or Theresa May was Dennis Thatcher was, or not Dennis, Mark Thatcher was Theresa May. Yeah, we're always meant to figure these things out. And yeah, well, as I said earlier on, if we're willing and capable and able to change our perspective and change our thinking on what exactly the greater game might be, or the greater puzzle or the greater adventure might be, well, then I think everything will slot a lot more neatly and succinctly into place. So yeah, these are just vague clues and hints for you. When I do short videos, I could do maybe, I could probably do with doing maybe 10 or a dozen. Maybe I'll do 13, right? Just short 5-minute videos just to summate everything up in the form, you know, of pictures, a little bit of text, a little bit of background music, get the general idea across. But once again, I understand it is the individual's journey, and when you are meant to come by the truth, well, that's specific to you and your time. Let those with ears hear, I suppose. And I certainly think any of us now who have come this far can never look at reality and inverted commas in the same way again. Once we try to make sense of the external, we understand that everything always leads back to the internal. This is where the experience and the experiencer comes from, right? So yeah, so excellent equation here between the two. And I've also done this with many other images as well. Let me just bring you up one or two at random, just to show you that I have a lot more here to present. Okay, I'll do this for instance. You'll recognize this as, is it Jupiter or Saturn? I think it might be Jupiter. Doesn't matter what it is. When you do a comparison, well, what does this turn out to be? Well, nothing else but Aristarchus. And here we have a sort of a miniature reflection of the same thing here. So this is what I'm talking about. When these planets are said to be at a certain distance away from us, the greater the distance, the different sort of reflective pattern is expressed. So here we have a pretty central sort of projection and a repetition of that same core projection. Yeah, all these factors, all these components as well, all of these expressions are to be found in the moon. The moon is the greatest clue for us. That's why Stanley Kubrick had the ape called Moon Watcher discovered a monolith within a pit or crater, which matches perfectly with Aristarchus. So yeah, it's you know, shit. I'm trying to, probably a bit late now for me to put it into the proper terms, but again, we are dealing with reflected artifacts, and depending on the relative positioning will depend on how much of the kaleidoscopic expression we get to see. Simple as that. Once again, we're looking at the same thing over and over and over again. It's infinite. It's almost an infinite expression, if you like. But that's just one of the plans. Again, this is a CGI sort of version of events from NASA. We don't need to look at NASA as the enemy. We can look at NASA as really chief clue givers for us. And yeah, that's where I'm stuck at now, and I won't be shifting from that anytime soon. I don't anticipate. So let me just bring up another picture here. Maybe comparisons are probably the best. I have some excellent comparisons, I really do. I've talked about Aristarchus expressing in the clouds, right? And as far as I know as well, I'm the first to, oh yeah, let me just bring up this one. Remember I compared Polaris to Aristarchus earlier on? Well, here we have Sun, which is, this is a capture, just a still from a high altitude balloon footage without the atmospheric distortion. And here we have Aristarchus. We can see these shard-like patterns. And we can also see the shard-like patterns here leading up to Aristarchus. When you do a closer examination of this, you find that it's a perfect match. It's just looking at everything from a slightly different perspective, a slightly different angle. So yeah, that's the Sun matched up to Aristarchus, and also Polaris matched up to Aristarchus. So Polaris match up to the sun. So the sun is matched up to the moon. So everything there's this direct trail set between all of these different luminaries. And again, everything goes back to this source here. And that's why I can say with confidence that the moon is a reflection of the sun. But primarily, it is a reflection. So yeah, we can all, I think, intrinsically appreciate this as well. As we look at the long and the bright days in the moon, in the daylight sky, we can see, you know, it's gone over the last couple of weeks from crescent moon to half moon to full moon, you know, and yeah, when we don't see aspects of the moon, we can see the sky through it. So for all intents and purposes, it is translucent. On the side we don't see. So yeah, this is because we're dealing with a reflection against a contoured barrier. This is important. It's not just a planar reflective surface, it is a contour and a contoured surface, and that the dimensions and nature of that contour are very important in terms of us painting a picture for ourselves to come to terms with what we might be seeing. So yeah, let me just go through other pictures. So many at this stage. This is what I'm saying. This is where a few quick 5-minute videos will do a much better job than the terrible job I'm doing now. I'm stumbling my way through. Let me just bring up a few other comparisons I made. This, would you believe, is a picture of the sunset. This is another strange capture of the sun, which doesn't look at all familiar to us, but that's only because yeah, we think we know what the sun is, or we think we know what the sun looks like, but in actual fact we have no idea whatsoever. Do you see the G in the center here? See the G in the center here? Right here, by the way, is Aristarchus. There's definitely that equation there, and the reason for the distortion or the slight variation, again, is because we're viewing the sun through water. It's water everywhere in the atmosphere, and this tends to distort things to a big degree, but not to an unrecognizable degree. So with the right eyes and with the right sort of information, we can always discern one from the other. So let me just bring up another few comparisons. Oh yeah, this is just one so when I talk about Aristarchus being the ultimate solution and how it expresses through the clouds, through the water, through the sands. Here we have sands. It's just a close-up of, you know, those patterns on the beach when the tide goes out. You have these lumps and bumps. This is just a close-up on that. Let me compare that. Here's the serpent's tongue here. Look. And actually, that's what I saw tonight in the clouds. And I said, shit, if I should have my camera, because it was a perfect illustration of it. And I'm just looking at these patterns all day in the clouds, you know. So I sort of know what I'm looking at. But here in the center then are just patterns to desert sands, to dry sands. And here on the left, or here on the right, sorry, this is the source of it. This is Crater Prince. We have three craters side by side, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. The Father is Aristarchus. The Son is Prince, right? And the Holy Spirit then is Herodotus, because it is a ghost or a phantom, if you will. These are all reflected artifacts of the one and only crater, which is Aristarchus. But when we look at these patterns here, we're looking at this pattern here. This is the rabbit ears. We can understand or that we've heard of in terms of the moon features. And yeah, these can all be matched up. It's not just pareidolia, where you're seeing patterns where there are none. No, not a chance, not a chance. I mean, this is the very first thing that I became aware of anyway. You know, this, you don't want to be fooling yourself, so you don't want to be sort of making patterns and making connections where there are none. But yeah, this is all the one. It's all interrelated, interconnected, and one is nothing without the other. Prince is nothing without ARISTARCHUS. But all of these patterns wouldn't exist without Prince. So yeah, this is cymatics, I guess you can call it that. These are the sand particles reacting to the frequency energies or frequency vibrations that are being expressed. Yeah, let me go to get another picture. There's so many I could bring up here now. Here's a good one. Just looking at the moon tonight. So on the right here we have the moon, full moon expressing, and on the left we have the sun. And the giveaway is this sort of secondary emanation. You can see it, you can't miss it. And we can also see this around the sun. More particularly, we can see it clearly from the moon in terms of looking at Crater Copernicus or Crater Tycho. But yeah, we can see that one is related to the other. If you look at the moon there, actually, and if you remember Polaris earlier on, a striking resemblance between the two expressions. Once again, this is for very clear and distinct reasons, because one is a reflected expression of the other. But yeah, isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? We have to remember as well, I mentioned this the last time, in terms of the movie Contact, all clues for us, the way they unraveled or they understood how to read the blueprints for the mechanism which allowed them to do their traveling, was to see something that was written in 2D and transform it or transmogrify it into 3 dimensions. So this is what we have to do as well with any 2-dimensional images that are presented to our brain. We can 3-dimensionalize them. So this is where a creator is. We're looking into something, and when we can sort of adapt our thinking, adapt our visuals, yeah, it becomes very easy to spot and see. Yeah, as excellent capture, as I said, on the right here is the moon, on the left is the sun. You'd swear they were one and the same. Of course, we're told that they, even though they appear to be the same size, one is 400 times further away and 400 times larger. I think it's 400 times larger than the other. So 4 times 4, 16. I load 16 tons. 16 is 8, 8, HH. In hand. It's the same story been told over and again. I'm even bored. Actually, I swear I'm even boring myself at this stage. And I'm not at the same time. But I'm sort of boring myself because it's difficult to put into words these things. It's another excellent comparison. Here we have, I think this is the sun as well. Definitely should make a note of these things a little bit clearer. But when we compare one to the other, almost a perfect match. And I really do have a new appreciation for the term truth hidden in plain sight. Once we can do away with preconceived ideas and notions and re-examine everything as is, then these things sort of become a lot clearer and show up a lot easier for us and to our senses. Okay, let me just go through a few other things. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to. That's what I wanted to post here. Let me just find it. It's an excellent, excellent find, really is. Fall streak clouds on the left here. So there's an official scientific explanation for the formation of these, what they call fall streak, FALLSTREAK clouds. And yeah, completely bogus and completely untrue explanation for the cause of these clouds or these massive holes in the clouds. All we're doing again is seeing or experiencing an expression of the same thing. This is just a crater, what's called a crater on the moon. It's not Herodotus, it's in a different location, a distinct location on the moon. But in fact, it is Herodotus. It's a reflection of Herodotus. And remember, Herodotus is a reflected artifact of ARISTARCHUS as well. But when you line these two up, or when you do your own examination here, you can see so many different points of similarity. I eventually have to make the call that we're dealing with one and the same thing here. Just you can look at this area here, for instance. I'll leave you to do that yourself. You can, and you should do, as you should be doing, making your own comparisons. Bring up a high definition picture of the moon. Bring up pictures, high definition pictures of fall streak clouds, and you will find the exact same match yourself. There's no doubting. Am I the first to explain these? Maybe, but yeah. It certainly flies in the face of all scientific explanation, but that's just the way it is. Science is science, you know. It's science is science, and when we look at this whole reality in a different sense, yeah, everything I think will start to make much more sense. Much more sense. Again, ingrained in my consciousness now is this Earth is 420 years old in terms of our current broken system. And I'm happy with that. It's pretty with me. It's easily with me. And stuff like this then, I won't say it makes perfect sense, but it certainly makes a lot more sense. So it's fall streak clouds, if you will. If you're interested in looking into those fall streak clouds, just Google image and just bring up the moon and bring up any one of these black craters. Anytime you see any of these black holes, if you will, you're looking at the same thing, which is ultimately Herodotus, as it is being reflected. It's magnified. And you're seeing it from a slightly different perspective, but yeah, you're capable of comparing and making the call yourself as the individual. Okay. Let me just bring up a few more comparisons. Oh yeah, this is one here, look. Liberty Island, Liberty Island. And the Isle of Man. Look at how close that's it. Look at how close that is. No coincidence. And you're going to say, well, how the fuck can any external influence form or formulate the Isle of Man? Well, yeah, this is just a wonder of the realm that we're in. Aristarchus is the earth beneath her feet, as well as the barrier above our heads, or the luminaries in the sky. It's encoded within Aristarchus, or it's encoded within Liberty Island here, with the Statue of Liberty and the Liberty Flame. As we look down, we're looking down in a fractal sense. That's tough going, I guess, for someone who hasn't considered this stuff before. But I've sort of considered all of this just for myself, my own journey here, and wrap my brain around it. We're looking at a representation of Aristarchus here, Lady Liberty, with the eternal Liberty Flame, which I showed Aristarchus earlier on. That's the little swathe we see in the inside. It's a Nike logo, but this is Aristarchus, and indeed here we have Herodotus as well, which, when we look at the moon, is a reflected artifact of Aristarchus. But the Isle of Man, yeah, it's been in the news a lot recently, thanks to the efforts of a few. I don't think any of this is coincidence. And yeah, the capital of Isle of Man, Douglas fir. I talk about the decapitated trees. So many other pointers that tell us that none of this stuff can be coincidental. It's all designed to provide us with clues. By following the clues, then, well, we can inexorably come towards the truth. Let's go through a few more here. This is kind of boring. I'm boring myself, actually. It just came on because I was just out. I was actually sang karaoke song tonight, Tie a Yellow Ribbon, and I was just I was talking to somebody just briefly whose name was Esther. It was just an amazing coincidence, and the number of 42s that popped up tonight, amazing as well. So yeah, the clues are all around for us, just a matter of us paying attention. I'll bring up another picture. Yeah, here we go again. This is another differing high altitude balloon still, or capture of the sun above the atmosphere, and I just compare this to a different capture, different continent, different camera, etc. This is why I say that, these are not lens artifacts or glare or anything like that. This is an intrinsic pattern associated with the sun. Let's push this here. This was there's so many examples of this. When we look at the moon, we have all of these are called domes, or dome craters, all over the shop. And when you look at something like this, it's hard to credit that this is a real sort of impact site. I think the reason I took this capture is you can see that it's not fucking real. We're dealing with reflected artifacts as they overlay and sort of, as they cancel each other out, but definitely interfere with one another. Yeah, again, with the right eyes, this stuff jumps out at you. We have to go back and forego all preconceived ideas regarding the moon. When they tell us the moon is a rock in space, well, it is, in a sense. It's a reflection of solidity, right? So it's not solid in itself, but a reflection of solidity. So we are given half-truths. And again, pointers, science is signs. And if we follow the signs, we can make our way home. Okay. Let me just bring up a few other pictures. Remember I was talking about the... Okay, let me... Oh shit, I've yet to do that. My God. Okay, I've yet to do that. I was just thinking, when I said Aristarchus expresses in the earth beneath our feet, I mentioned this before, but Crater Barringer in Arizona, and how when you line up adjacent to Aristarchus, you get an almost perfect match. One is intrinsically connected to the other. So that is definitely something I have to, at a more decent and reasonable hour, sit down and walk you through, because it's incredible. It's incredible. It really is incredible. And needs must you view everything in a completely new and different light when you see that. And once again, that's why I say that Aristarchus is... it's everything external, and extends all the way to the internal. It's the earth beneath her feet. It's all the luminaries. It's the barrier. It's the ether. It's all prevailing. It's omnipresent. I was looking for one particular... Let me just go back here now. I was looking for one particular comparison, just because I talked about the rabbit ears earlier on, and how... Where is that now? Oh, here we go. Yeah. This is the repeating pattern I talk about in the clouds. This is the gaping mouth. I can point you exactly where that is expressed in its original form, which is as a reflected artifact of Aristarchus in the form of Crater Prince. But when we look at these, this is the rabbit ears. It's the gaping mouth. They're one and the same. Now you might say to yourself that that's not... it's close, but it's no cigar. Well, this is just on the right is a pattern, or just a picture taken from a simple YouTube search for repeating patterns in the clouds. But you can go out yourself. You can go out yourself tomorrow. I saw this tonight. I saw this not just once tonight, on umpteen occasions tonight. You can go out yourself tomorrow and seek this out, and you'll find it. Take a picture of it, go in and match it up against the rabbit ears. And like me, the closer you zoom in, the closer match you will get. So yeah, that's what I mean by Aristarchus expressing in the clouds, right? Aristarchus expressing in a kaleidoscopic form in the moon. Okay, one more, I think. Then I'll probably leave it. I'm bored myself to sleep. Didn't even intend to come on, really. And I mean, probably be a good idea if someone came on to have a chat with me. I probably wouldn't be as boring, and there'd be a few questions thrown at me. Would be a good thing as well. As I say, what I'm trying to think about now is the format in which any videos I make will take. All right, let me just show you this. So here we have... oh yeah, that's what I meant to say as well. So during the week, I was looking at some captures from an amateur astronomer, and from the same video here, he shows a running man nebula which is many, many light years away, we're told. Here we can see sort of similar pattern, and it's not just similar; it's the same. It's one is equivalent to the other. We're just seeing it expressed in through a different medium. Here we see it expressed through the clouds. Here we see it expressed as reflection against the barrier. But here, this is called the Running Man Nebula. But yeah, the Orion Nebula, Orion's belt, we're told is, I think, 1,344 light years from Earth, right? But yeah, when you hold it and match it up or compare it with reflected artifacts around crater prints, we see not just a close match, an exact match. This is where all of these little dots here give us a clue, you know, and yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. All traceable back to the one source and one source only, and that, my friends, is ARISTARCHUS, a rising star arch us. But there's so many different connotations and combinations that can be used with the word itself. It's amazing. And yeah, just to reiterate, when we make our way down the conspiracy pathway, we come to question the reality of Christ, and we soon land on the idea that Christ represents the Son. Yeah, again, the pathway is laid out for us, and yes, Christ does represent the Son, but the Son itself is Aristarchus. So within Aristarchus, we have an anagram of Christ's aura, Christ's golden sun, aura, A-U's gold, Ra's sun. So yeah, the truth can never be given to us on a plate or a platter. It will always be hinted at it, and we are big and ugly enough then, are big and beautiful enough, how about that, to yeah, make our own way through to the truth. Yeah, so I should do that for the next time. I'll definitely have to present something more coherent and more complete, I guess. So that's two things I have to do, well, amongst many others, but one is create a barrier in Arizona versus Aristarchus, and the other then is the Orion Nebula versus an area around. Show you that where I've located it to. Just a quick image. Didn't make a side by side by this, but I'll just bring up. Here we go. Yeah, the satellite craters. So here's Aristarchus. We just said it. Here's Herodotus. Just looking at it from a different angle. Here is the snake head, as we can see here, and yeah, the Orion Nebula. Here's Prince. Can be traced up along here. I'll just go over that with a. And as we zoom in, this is the beauty of this. As we can zoom in, can match up all of these little indicators for us until eventually we can be absolutely sure we're dealing with one and the same thing. As I say, this is the beauty of it, and it's an adult sort of join the dots. So yeah, look at these here. I mean, these are literally, what do you call it? These are literally high definition pictures of the moon and the areas around Aristarchus. But as we look at it with new eyes, it's not real. These are all see all these dots. They're all the same thing. They're all Aristarchus, every one of them. And they even give you clues then. Like these are Aristarchus satellite craters. Here we have Aristarchus H, Aristarchus B, etc. Well, there's Herodotus, as I pointed out earlier on. King Herodotus, right? There's Aristarchus U. But it doesn't matter how far you zoom in. My point is that every one of these dots is the same Aristarchus, fractally expressed, kaleidoscopically expressed again and again. We have Aristarchus 5, Aristarchus T, Aristarchus H. And look, once you know what you're looking at, you can tell there's no reality to these things. They're simply 4K, if you will, reflections. And what has caused us the confusion, or has sort of, why have we lacked the ability to discern this sort of stuff before? Well, as I say, all of these truths have been ingrained within us. The Earth is a spinning ball through space. The Moon is a solidity, a satellite of Earth, and yeah. This is our normal, this is our sort of base starting point. And once we can sort of wipe that slate clean, then we can come to appreciate, I guess, the true nature of things. So, yeah, I think that's about it. I'm not, as I said, I just came on. This is the second hangout on this channel, and I didn't intend to come on. It's pretty late here as well, so yeah, for the most part, I'm talking to myself anyway, which is fine, and I'm happy enough to leave it there anyway. I'm sorry for not going into chat. I'm sure there isn't too many in chat anyway. But the most important thing you have to take from this is it's you having this experience. If you want to understand these things better, you have to sort of wrap your brain around them. Don't listen to anyone telling you anything. It's all too easy to get caught up in the daily dramas and forget about your own sort of search and your own possibility, potential to progress in terms of your understanding. And well, I'd like to think that I'm sort of helping you along in a sense by giving you the answer, and then you can sort of work your way through from your own particular point of view towards that ultimate solution. And well, this is just the way it's written, and yeah, I think that'll do for tonight. Let me say thanks a lot for tuning in, whoever did tune in, and I'll leave you with my usual number, and I'll get my head down. It's pretty late here. Oh, the money that I spent, I have spent it in good company, and all the harm that I did, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fell to me the parting glass, good night, enjoy be with you all. Oh, the comrades there I had, they're sorry for my going away. And all the sweethearts there I had will wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I I should rise and you should know. I'll gently rise and not softly call the night, and joy be with you all. I'll gently rise and not softly call good night, and joy be with you all. Good night, friends. I love you, Steve. Till next time.